I'm Eric Olsher. I'm one of the organizers here. Thank you all for coming. Before we get started, I wanted to acknowledge that this land rests on the traditional village sites of the Multnomah, Wasco, Cowlitz, Clackamas, Chinook, Tualatin, Molalla, and many other tribes who made their homes here along the Columbias and Willamette rivers. We take this opportunity to thank them as the original caretakers of this land. Thank you. Logistics. You are in a lovely ballroom. I really love this space. Thank you for joining us here. Biggest thing, there are no questions after talks. We really want to have everyone have conversations and all that. We won't take up your time asking questions. If you would like to ask the speaker questions or give them feedback or anything else, they will be down in front of the stage after their talk. There are toilets upstairs, or bathrooms upstairs in the balcony and downstairs on the second floor. The Wi-Fi is actually right the docks open. Registration is in the back, and sponsors are also over here and in the back as well, near the registration desk, so go talk to them. There's a mother's room downstairs in Lola's room. There's a quiet room on the first floor, and there's also a speaker and a staff room on the second floor across the hall from Lola's room. Use those spaces if you need them and they're appropriate for you, but please also respect them if they're not. The unconference, which will happen throughout the day, today and tomorrow, is downstairs in Lola's room, and the job fair as well, which happens tomorrow morning, is downstairs in Lola's room as well. Lunch will be served over here each day. Snacks will be in the back of the room where breakfast was. And during those eating opportunities, we will ask that you let anyone who has dietary restrictions or specific needs go first so that they're able to get what they need, and then you can go after that. And you can smoke outside away from the front door of the venue. Did anyone notice something about the floor? This building was actually built in 1913, and I believe it is the only floating dance floor left in the United States. The building is not falling down. Do not worry. We are in this venue because it is such a lovely space for our community. The Grateful Dead played here a couple times. There's all sorts of musical history. And I use this as a secret way to get on this stage without having any musical talent at all. And please, when you walk on the floor, please walk on the fronts of your feet as if, what is it Rose said, as if you were going to jump into a crouch at any moment. And that will stop it from rattling for other people. So what are we doing here? Why are there 500 people gathered in a room? The reason that this exists is because we wanted to build a community. And this conference exists for that community. And that is really kind of the goal of what we're trying to do here, is connect people to build a sense of identity, to build a sense of ownership and pride of being someone in the software industry who cares about documentation. I'm a developer, and sometimes that makes me not very likable to other developers. And everyone else in the industry. We really want to feel welcome in this space and really feel like they're part of our community. And that is your job while you're here. This is the 7th year of this conference, which is a little bit scary to me, but everything that you see here is not planned by some, super well thought out process. Some of it is, but there's also lots of stuff that just happens accidentally. And so if there's ways that you think we can improve, small improvements, a table should be here instead of there, please help us improve this space, help us improve the experience of being here. Because we are not, the way things are not sacred. We are happy to change them if you can convince us it's a good idea, and we're pretty convincible. So you're here as an attendee. What does that mean? What is it that we expect of you while you're here? Your goal is to make friends. The industry is so much more enjoyable when you actually have friends in a professional context, not just, colleagues or people you network with, like real true friends. And some of the best people in the world that I've met have been through this community and others like it. We also hope you're here to learn something. That is, of course, why we have so many wonderful talks, so many brilliant people that grace this stage and grace the unconference and everywhere else in this space. There's so much knowledge in this room from all across the industries. Please take the chance to learn from each other and from the people on the stage and everyone else. And also, to have fun. I truly believe that work and fun are not mutually exclusive. We can exist in this space and be having fun, making friends, learning, and I think that's the best way to engage in a professional endeavor that I've found. So that is your job. So what does that mean? How do we actually implement that strategy? So in this space, I want to ask all of you to be welcoming. Welcome people in if it's your first year. Hopefully someone has already welcomed you with the welcome wagon or some other way. We want you to be open, share your experiences, go to the unconference and, talk about your problems and your solutions and all that kind of stuff. And be supportive, Someone might use a different tool than you. Someone might work on a tool that you dislike. Please be supportive in this space and don't say, oh, XYZ tool is terrible. Maybe the person sitting next to you built that tool. That also is true on Twitter, by the way. And positive, right? We're here to make the community and the industry and everything else a better place. And we do that through positive, being supportive, and just kind of acting in the way that we want this space to feel. So please remember, the way that you act is the way that everyone else experiences this conference. And for 6 years, it's been amazing. And so I hope for the 7th year, it will be even more amazing and we'll continue that trend of just being a very warm and lovely place to be. Who here knows what the Pacman Rule is? Cool. So I made this up a few years ago, and it's kind of become a thing on the internet, which makes me very happy. And someone else did my work for me, and they made a video that explains what it is. So when you're standing in a group of people, don't stand in a closed circle, because someone comes up and they feel excluded from that space. When you stand in the shape of a Pac-Man, so when someone joins you, they're happy, and they feel like they're included in that group. And then reconfigure back into a Pac-Man. That's on the internet if you want to find it. Don't make the person sad, make the person happy. This thing has had a couple different names because it has not been as popular as the Pacman Rule, and it's a little bit harder to explain. But one of the things that I've noticed in these kind of events as we get to year 7 is that it can develop a kind of insiders group, a clique, the people that have been here every year that know each other. And as a first-timer, that can be really, really hard to deal with. And so what I'd like to ask is that for everyone in this room, for every year that you've attended, I encourage you to meet at least one new person every day. So for me, I have to meet 7 new people, so please come talk to me. If it's your first year, meet 1 new person. It is doable. You just have to do it once, but I really do ask you to go out and actively try to meet people. But the goal here is to have the more experienced people in the community do more of the work. The newcomers should not be the ones introducing themselves. It's the people like me who feel confident in this space that should be introducing you into the community. So that's another thing that we're trying. And really the takeaway here is I give you permission to walk up to any group of people in this room and introduce yourself and interact with them. This is not a space where there are people who are, a speaker and they're everyone else. I really truly believe that we are all equal in this space. That's why speakers aren't given a special badge or a special lanyard or anything like that. Most of the special lanyards we have are for safety purposes. Everyone else here, if they're speaking, it's just because they happen to be speaking this year. And if you're in the audience, next year maybe you'll be speaking, and the year after that you won't. But I truly believe that anyone in this room could be on this stage at any point. And that the people that are here this year are just the ones that are here for now. And that in 1 year, maybe you will be up here. Speaking of lanyard colors, we do have a code of conduct that we enforce at this event. It applies to all conference-related spaces, including the Slack, Twitter, any social events. And we do have a standard policy for maintaining reports and responding to them, and we actually, have policies around how to do this. And just as an attendee, this isn't something you should be scared of. Just know that you're in a space where if something is not going the way that it should be, we are willing to actually fix it. And that's really the takeaway. So I would like to invite all the organizers on stage. This is everyone in a a gold or yellow lanyard, like this. I am speaking, and so the photos of me speaking don't have a lanyard because you already know who I am. But yes, all of these lovely humans are wearing a yellow lanyard, and they are the ones who you can talk to if you have any issues at all. Please give them all a round of applause, by the way. This conference is a lot of work, and all of the humans on this stage have done so much to really make this a space that it is today. So thank you all, and please know these are the folks that you can talk to, anyone that has a yellow lanyard if you have any issues at all. So thank you. So that is what we're doing here. So what is actually happening? What is all the events? What is the structure of this event? So we started on Saturday with a hike. We only got rained on a little bit. It was great. There were snacks. Yesterday at 9 a.m. till 5, we did a writing day on these lovely round tables in the front. We had, I think at 11 o'clock we did a head count, and there were 125 people contributing to open source docs, making documentation more inclusive, just making the internet a better place. Then last night we also had a reception downstairs where we ate snacks and talked about documentation. Pro organizers tip, it also lets us split up when people register, so there's not a massive line out the front Monday morning. On this here stage, we will have 16 speakers with wide-ranging content all around the software industry. We had over 100 talks submitted this year, so if you submitted a talk and didn't get it in, it's not because it wasn't good. Please keep resubmitting, submit to other conferences. It's really hard. We had at least another 16 talks that we wanted to see in that CFP. So it's just, part of it's luck, part of it someone else submitted a similar talk and we could only choose one on a topic, all this kind of stuff. And also over here, as you may have noticed, all of my words are magically showing up on this screen, which is pretty cool. We are live captioning the conference for the second year. People really loved it last year, so we brought it back. And we're also doing a live stream as well. So our AV folks that are doing video production are also doing a live stream on the internet. So hello to everyone out there in the internet. Sorry you had to sit through me telling you stuff about the venue that you don't care about. So anyway, the main stage is up here. This is where all the talks will be. Also up here are lightning talks. So if earlier you were like, oh, I could get up on that stage. One of these days I'll do that. Today could be that day. Lightning talks are 5-minute or less talks that people in the audience submit, and you can get up on this stage and give them. They're each day after lunch, and there's a sign up in the back on the registration desk. There's 2 chalices, one for if this is your first time speaking, and one for if you have spoken before. And so put your name and your topic in the correct basket. And then we will tell you, I believe before lunch, that you will be up here speaking after lunch, so you can have a very stressful lunch. The unconference is downstairs all day today, so after my introduction here, and then Tuesday afternoon after the job fair. It's a structured space for spontaneous conversations. So what that means is we have a bunch of tables and a big board, and on the board is numbers that correspond to the tables, and you can put a post-it note about a topic that you want to speak about. So you can go down and look and say, oh, somebody's talking about API docs at 1040, or being a lone writer in an organization at this time, and you can join the table and just talk about that topic. So it's a way to kind of find other people who are in a similar situation, have similar interests, all that kind of stuff. So if that's interesting to you, please go down and sign up for a session. Just as an organizer's note, it tends to be a little bit calmer and quieter Monday morning, so please go down and fill it up so that we can spread the people across the time of the entire conference. There are also, sorry, I'm not going to explain it again. Not really. There are handouts in the room as well that help you with moderation. So if you're a little nervous about how to actually do an unconference, if you're going to propose one, we have little sheets that give you helpful hints about how to actually do it. And of note, if you are a moderator, please actually moderate. The words, "Thank you, can we please have some time for other people to speak," is a useful term in some conversations. And I'm not the most tactful, so I'm sure you can come up with better ways to do that. But please, make sure these conversations are including everyone and are actually kind of value. And of note, if you're not getting value out of it, you're welcome to leave. You're not trapped at a table. So please do get up and make the conference what you need it to be. On Tuesday morning, downstairs in Lola's room, there's a job fair. All of our sponsors this year will have tables, and you can see some of those jobs are posted on our job board online at jobs.writethedocs.org. But yeah, so Tuesday morning you can go downstairs, and if you're curious about hiring, if you're curious just about what other people are doing in the industry, it's always interesting to know what's going on in hiring. So that's the reason we've kind of added job fair, which was also new last year, and we're doing again this year. So the social event will be tonight. It's at the Jackknife. We'll give you the address on Twitter. It's also on the website. It starts at 7 p.m. And please bring your badges. And sadly, we're not able to accommodate +1s. It's hard enough to find a venue for this many people. Please don't bring additional people because they will not fit. So yeah, please bring your badge just so that we know you're a conference attendee. You don't have to wear it. You can just treat it like a little cool thing at the door that gets you in. The Welcome Wagon. Who here is already engaged in one of the Welcome Wagon events? That's so cool. It's something we did a few years ago, but basically we have a really good guide online to help you understand what you need to do before the conference, answers kind of common questions. You can still look at that. And they actually printed out the little bingo cards that you might have seen at Reg. And so that is kind of some of the ideas from our Welcome Wagon guide about how to get the most out of the conference. They are also doing various Welcome Wagon events around the conference, so I believe there's a table in the back where they will gather at those times. I didn't put them on the slide though, sorry. Badge flare, you may have noticed all the stickers in the back. You can decorate your badge, and you tweet it with the hashtag #WriteTheDocs and WTD badge, and on Tuesday we will choose a winner and give you a prize, an unspecified prize. So I do want to say thank you to all of the speakers, the volunteers. They actually need more mention. The volunteers in the purple lanyards make this conference happen. The organizers, we do a lot of work, but the volunteers are who really executes on the vision at this event. So I really do want to thank them as well. Please give them a round of applause, actually. Similarly, the venue staff here, there's a reason. This is a beautiful room, but the reason we keep coming back to this space is because the staff in this building is just phenomenal. So I really do want to thank them as well. I want to thank all the sponsors. We had record sponsorship this year. Basically, anyone in this room is responsible for this existing, because I guarantee you it would not be as much fun to stand up here and talk to an empty room. I did it before. It was a little weird. So really, this whole concept around Write the Docs was just a shared hallucination that did not exist in the world. And then we made a website, and then it existed in the world. And we have a space, and now there's so much more going on in the community. But really, it's because people like you believe in this idea, come to these events, act amazingly while you're here so that people want to keep coming back. And really, it is all of us who build the community that we want to have in the world. So thank you to everyone. Please awkwardly clap for the person next to you. So I do just want to take a minute to thank all of our sponsors. I'm not going to say them all by name because that would take too long, but Google in particular has been a sponsor for a long time. They're in the back next to Reg. Oracle and Amazon, both, as well as, I'll keep kind of sliding through, but please The conference would be so much less cool without the sponsors. They're really what gives us the money to do a lot of the other extra stuff that we do, the captioning, the writing day, catering, all this kind of stuff. Like, that's money that doesn't come from ticket sales. It comes from sponsorship money. So please do give them all a round of applause for making this a lovely spot. Oh. Sorry, Knowledge Owl. Oh, it's on the screen. It's just cut off on my screen. Sweet. Cool. But yeah, that is all of our sponsors. And yeah, it is really just amazing, the support that we've gotten this year from that. So, we have 10 minutes left. And that was the first part of the introduction, which is the introduction to the conference. The next part is basically talking a little bit more about the community. Like I said, this is a thing that we've all kind of invented and came to the same room and have turned into something that exists in the world. And that just keeps echoing further and further throughout the whole world in a really kind of magical way. We truly have a global community at this point. Every year, we now are doing a Portland, a Prague, and an Australia conference this year that's happening in Sydney. Like, that is basically every major set of time zones are represented. We're also doing a Vilnius conference that's run by some of our community members and we're helping out with this year in Lithuania. We have a Slack network that has over 6,200 members, and we also have a monthly newsletter that is sending out really cool information that is kind of generated in that Slack chat every month. I think the newsletter in particular is really a cool thing. I could talk a lot more about it, but I will save that for some other time. But if you're not subscribed to it, I really would highly recommend it. It's some of the highest value content that I get in my inbox, and it's only once a month. So we also have a lot of stuff that people from the community have gone out and started doing kind of independently, with the mantra and the ideas and the kind of context that we're building here. There's the API the Docs conferences. They're talking about API documentation. In Seoul, in South Korea, we had a full-day meetup, similar to the one they did in London last year, just like a meetup, but basically it went for a full day. We have 42 meetups on 5 continents at this point. We have a podcast as well that's run by members of the community, just kind of making really good content every month or month and a half. And so that's all really cool stuff that people like you are doing just kind of out in the community. And that's one of the things that I want to think a little bit more about is like, what else could we as a community be generating and putting out into the world? Are there other things that we could be doing? Should we have a Write the Doc style guide, a set of, linting tools? Like, there's a lot of things that we could be building together and then kind of all using as a community. And my background is in the open source world. I'm a Python developer. And that community really bonded together over the creation of tools and artifacts. And I'm just curious if there's more that we could be doing there to actually be creating some of the tools and some of the things that we need to do our jobs better. We also are hoping to do a larger East Coast event. You may have noticed that this conference sold out like 6 weeks in advance. And there's 500 people here. And we can't fit any more people in this venue. And we really don't want to keep making the Portland conference bigger. The goal is to make more regional conferences that are more accessible for people where they are. One of the other big ones is the sustainability of the organizer team. I think about 2.5 years ago, we started paying a few of the people who help run these conferences. Because it is like, I think after the third year of doing it, as a volunteer, you just kind of look out and you're like, oh, I'm just gonna keep doing this into the future. And I'm gonna burn myself out. Like, it is really, really obvious if I keep doing this forever with no money, it is just not sustainable. And so we did start paying some of our core organizers. And that's one of the philosophies we're trying to start figuring out how to do as well, is put money into the community in a way that actually helps build the community and make things better. And one of the ways that we're trying to do that is we're doing a test of something we're calling kind of a regional ambassador. That's still a working title. But basically Swapnil, who's been running a lot of the work in Australia, is going to be kind of the person who's doing the work for the Asia Pacific region as kind of a Write the Docs liaison. And that'll be a paid role. not well paid, sadly. But going from volunteer to some money is a profound and fundamental mental shift, and it is much more psychologically sustainable. And so that's one of the things. Oh, I should also mention we started paying the editor of our newsletter a small stipend as well. Just you can clap. I'm happy about it. Really just trying to figure out how do we build community and not burn people out. And having worked in open source for a long time, I'm very intimately aware of the psychological toll that doing something for free that you feel obligated to do for a long time is not healthy. And there's still so many people doing so much in this community, and we're just trying to figure out how do we get more money, how do we help more people, and how do we keep people engaged in the community in a way that's sustainable for all of us. That's one of the really big things. I spend my time thinking about that a lot in multiple contexts. So, we are also going to, for the first time, be doing a salary survey, which I am very excited about. Right now, there's so many questions on Slack that are just like, what should I be getting paid for this job in this place? And really, being able to have that knowledge be shared more widely will make us all get paid more money. Similarly, we are also having talks and thinking about moving off Slack as a platform. There are some substantial moderation limitations, substantial history limitations, but that is a very large lift and is a lot of work. So that's just something else we're kind of mulling over, but it is a non-trivial amount of work, and it is work that really nobody ever wants to do. That is not fun. Similarly, more specific events, one of the things we do kind of feel is that a single track conference, I believe, is a beautiful concept. I love the idea. But there's so many talks that we're turning down that should be on a stage. And so we're thinking about other ways to do, instead of making this a huge 1,000-person, 6-track kind of conference, what if we did other single-track events that were more kind of focused and specific? I'm not convinced that's a good idea, because so much of the value of Write the Docs is the combination of programmers and writers and support people. And if we start making things more specific, we lose some of that integration. Similarly, the other solution there would be a multiple track conference. We could have 2 tracks. There could be other talks going on at the same time. That makes me sad, and I'm not convinced. But really, these are questions of growth, right? Obviously, the Portland conference is at a point where we're selling it out earlier and earlier every year, and we need to figure out a way to invite more people into our community and figure out how to do that in a way that is achieving the goals that we want. And so that's a conversation I'd love to have with all of you if you have thoughts. It's just kind of the stuff that we're thinking over as kind of the Write the Docs organization, if you will. Excuse me. So, just curious, who here in the room is someone who doesn't primarily identify as someone who is a technical writer? All right, so it's maybe 20%. That is also one of the things that we're really trying to maintain is the beginning of this conference, there was a lot of people from all different backgrounds. And as we've grown, it's gotten really popular with people that identify as tech writers, and they buy all the tickets. And some of the other folks that want to come might not be able to. And so we're trying to figure out how do we maintain that balance where we're not just a community for technical writers, we're a community for everyone in the software industry who cares about documentation. Because that is a truly important part of what we're doing. Because if you just silo yourself off from the world, you lose so much of the value of shared perspectives, shared collaboration. It's really cool to be in a room with the people who build your tools. It's a really profound and interesting experience to talk to the people. It's better for the people who build the tools, and it's better for the people who use the tools. So we should be in the same room talking about those things. And that's what I think writing day is just so magical. You can be in the space with the person. It's oh, we use ASCII-Doc at work. And ASCII-Doctor, the people who make that are here, and we're going to work at the same table, and I'm going to get ideas, and it's just really cool to see that interaction. And I want more of that, not less of that. So raise your hand if this is your first Write the Docs. Well, thank you for coming. Anyway, so that is just a little bit of understanding who's in the room and kind of really understanding the goal of the conference. So I would ask you to stay in touch. Please tweet and Instagram and whatever other social media things you use. Use the hashtag #WriteTheDocs for whatever you're doing. And you can also, if you'd like to join us kind of throughout the conference and throughout the year, you can join our Slack. And I should also put a newsletter link there, because I really do think our newsletter is the best way to keep in touch in a more kind of low-key way. But anyway, thank you so much for listening to me speak for 30 minutes. And please, please, please have a lovely conference. And I welcome all of you, and please have a good time. And thank you for coming.